things like that, or waters within or adjacent to sheltered water, or areas where port regulations apply. So you have port regulations close to the port operations, inland waters, rivers. It does not apply. This convention does not apply to vessels operating in such condition. Anybody knows why they have kept these vessels out? Vessels, navigating exclusively in inland waters and where port regulations apply, or adjacent to sheltered waters and all that. Why have they excluded these vessels? Anyone? Any guesses why they have this? Actually, this is not mentioned anywhere, but there are some assumptions.
Maybe because they go home when they are to go home regularly.
Right. So they are able to reach home. They do not face the hardships seafarer has to face on ocean going ships. Right. Possibly that could be one of the key reasons why they exclude them. Okay. So this applies to all ships publicly or privately owned. That means run by the government or private institutions, organizations like yours, engaged in commercial activities. So if the government-owned vessel engaged in commercial activities, then also MLC applies. Right? All good? Application all clear, everyone? Can somebody tell me what is this last line? MLC certificate only GRT 500 or more. What is the meaning of that?
You need to be audited.
Yeah, sorry, yes, Swaminathan, go ahead. You say?
It applies vessels having national zone of conduct.
And if it's 499?
Abundance ratio.
Sorry, if it's 499, what happens?
Good question. Does it need to comply?
Yeah, no. They don't need a certificate. They don't need a certificate to prove their compliance. In other words, they are exempted from a certificate just like a bicycle rider is exempted from a license. You need a license to drive a car, but you don't need any license to drive a bicycle on the road. There's no number plate on a bicycle, but you have a number plate on a car. So just like that, the bicycle is exempted, but the bicycle has to follow the rule of the road, whatever the regulations are in that particular place where they're riding a bicycle. So the bicycle follows the rule of the road, but they don't need a license. So similarly, a vessel 499 has to comply with all requirements of MLC and can also be detained under MLC for non-compliance, but it is exempted from obtaining a certificate. That means the certificate has been exempted because you see you're a small ship, so we exempt that certificate. Only certificate is exempted. Application is not, right? Like ISM, ISPS only applies to 500 gross ton or more on international trade. In practicality, this does not apply to MLC. So your vessel can be 499 on international trade. If suppose the wages are not paid in time or the food or the living conditions are not adequate, the vessel can be detained. Right? All good? Everybody clear on the application?
So it does. They have to comply with the MLC still, even if they don't have a cert. They still need to comply.
Correct. Absolutely. They have to comply. Right.
Do they have this audit also for that? Yearly audit or periodical audit for this vessel? Is that
Right. So good question. Yeah. Theoretically, they are expected to. Now, they won't have an external audit, but the internal audit theoretically is a requirement. There is a what we call a requirement that every company should have a mechanism of ensuring that and verifying that the MLC requirements are implemented. Now, for this, they don't necessarily have to conduct an internal audit. Even the ship's master can do that. That means whether they engage a master or they ask a citizen in the office to check that, it doesn't matter. But the compliance is the company is obliged to ensure. Okay, that's the only difference. They don't under Board of 500. There is no need for a documented internal audit. The standard doesn't say anything of that. Okay. Okay. So that's regarding the application and the structure of the code. Very important. Like I'm sure you all have during the course of the last 10 years since MLC is in force. I'm sure you all have attended more than one training program in-house or whatever or external on MLC, and your understanding of the MLC code must be definitely very good. So as such, what we are going to do today afternoon and a little bit, maybe an hour or half an hour or so tomorrow afternoon, will only be a sort of a refresher of what you've already done, right? Having said that, if and some of you may have already read the Maritime Labour Convention code, the code itself. If you read the code, it can take you about 2.5 hours to read the code. So it is possible that many of you have read the code. But if some of you have not read the code, then I strongly recommend that you must read the code. And why do I recommend that you must read the code? Because this code has to actually, what you call, clear up all the excess baggage we carry in our minds because of our experience in the pre-MLC era. Because I'm quite sure all of you started your sea career in the pre-MLC era, when there was no Maritime Labour Convention, right? So we belong to a pre-MLC era, and we may carry with us a certain amount of excess baggage in our mind regarding the implementation requirements, the philosophy, the background, the intent of the MLC code, and to enhance that, the only one way you can do that. You can attend training program, that's fine. You will certainly get enlightened, but you must read the code at least once. It is only after you read the code once will you understand and appreciate what I'm saying right now. Okay. So I think the only persons who can partly be exempted, and I personally believe even they should not be exempted in any shipping company. Even the finance department plays a very important role in the Maritime Labour Convention. So if they don't wish to read the whole code, then certain sections relevant to them should be, they should read the code, that those sections of the code, every line, every word, to understand what are their responsibilities as a finance department. When it comes to technical, marine, and crewing, the three main departments, they definitely must read the code cover to cover, right? Read it from and yeah, don't miss out the 16 conventions in the code because they'll tell you the background, the pillars, the so-called philosophy on, and what is it that Maritime Labour Convention and ILO is looking into the future. To give you some sort of an idea, probably get an idea as to their intent. What is the intent behind this code now and in future? Okay, so that is regarding the Maritime Labour Convention code. So you have basically 16 articles, regulation. The code is split into Part A and Part B. And Part A is the mandatory requirements of the code itself. Part B is a non-mandatory, it's a guideline. So, I mean, you as a company can decide to implement it, number one. Your flag state might make it Part B mandatory. That means, for example, if the Maritime Labour Convention says, I'm just giving an example, it doesn't say so, but if it says, for example, seafarers must get a chocolate cake. So Part A and Part B says the chocolate cake must have icing and a cherry on it. So the icing and the cherry can be considered as the non-mandatory requirement. So you're implementing part A, your flag state is only talking of part A, then you don't need the cherry and the icing on the cake, but you need the cake, right? But some flag states, particularly national flag states, not flags of convenience, the national flag states sometimes may make the part B, the cherry and the icing on the cake mandatory, which means a part B has become a mandatory requirement in for a flag. So if you are flying the flag of that particular country or state, then you need to comply with the part B requirements. Okay, but by and large, all flags of convenience, including Singapore, to the best of my knowledge, they are only insisting on part A requirements. All good between part A and part B. Everyone's clear about part A is mandatory and part B is the non-mandatory guidelines. All clear? Now, the structure of the code is such it's split into 5 titles. This one is that for a seafarer work ownership, what are the requirements? Title 2 talks about what are the conditions of employment to be provided by the company. Title 3 talks about what accommodation, recreational facilities, food and catering needs to be provided to the seafarer. Part 4 talks about health protection, medical care, welfare, social security. And part 5 talks about compliance. Right? So these are the 5 titles. They call it title, don't get too confused. You can call it as a section or chapter. They call it a title. Okay? That would be the jargon ILO uses. Okay? So we don't need to get too much confused about why they call it a title. Okay? So if we look into the title, what we'll be doing is we'll be just sort of discussing some of the very key requirements of each title. And in each title you have these regulations, so we will discuss the key requirements of these regulations. Okay? As in 2023, 104 member states comprising roughly 96.6% tonnage have ratified MLC. So it's almost, it's what almost close to about 100% global tonnage of having ratified the convention. Whereas in 2012, this percentage was just about 33, and this was 30. Now, minimum age. What is the requirement for minimum age for a seafarer? Anybody knows what is the minimum age for a seafarer?
18 years.
Sorry?
18 years old.
18 years old, right? And what about if the seafarer is more than 16? Above 16 or above, and less than 18, can the seafarer work on ship?
Yes, they can.
But they have to
But
be-
they
they have
do light duty, they have to be more than 18 years old.
Yeah, but Nadia, they can work below 18 and above 16. So what is the difference in the seafarer between 16 to 18 and above 18?
The way the duty for 16, 18 and below, they can do normal like 8 to 5 job like that. But to do a night duty, they have to be 18 years old and above.
Okay, so during the daytime, 16 to 18, they can do any work.
Yeah. Yeah, daytime.
They can climb the mast. They can enter the enclosed space.
Yes, sir. With supervision.
Okay, so there is a correction there, Nadia. So if the seafarer is less than 18 and above 16, then the seafarer is called a young, not adult, young seafarer. So you are right that they can work during the day and they're not supposed to work in the night. But let me explain a little bit more in detail. Although I don't think any of you have seen seafarers below 18 these days. Have any of you come across any seafarers below 18? Anyone?
No.
In your company? No, right. So generally speaking, seafarers below 18 are, there. But then of course, you can have some training or whatever. Anyway, The seafarer below 18 cannot do any hazardous tasks like climbing the mast, climbing a log, going overside the ship side for painting, enclosed space entry, hot work. So these tasks are considered as hazardous tasks, and the seafarer cannot do this as a job. So the seafarer can do it as a trainee. That means under training, he can observe somebody climbing the mast, observe somebody doing how the hot work is carried out, etc., etc. So there is a very, very fine line here. At the same time, seafarer cannot work in the night. So the night is considered as 9 hours. They say there are 9 hours attributed as night, and in that 9 hours, every company can decide what are those 9 hours. But midnight to 5 o'clock morning, that is 5 hours mandatory. The other 4 hours are optional. You can choose 10 p.m. to say 7 a.m. You can choose 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. So that's 9 hours. So, but midnight to 5 should be is mandatory as night hours, right? So no night work. Again, night work also the seafarer can do under training, but not as carrying out the task. That means you can call a seafarer, keep a lookout on the bridge, but along with the lookout man, not independently. Okay, so that's the difference in the seafarer below 18 years. Okay, so above 18 is a normal seafarer, the adult seafarer, right? Okay, very good. Medical certificate. The seafarer below 18 has to be examined every year, and seafarer above 18 to be examined once in 2 years. So why is this difference? Below 18 every year, above 18 once in 2 years. Why they've kept this difference? Anyone?
Should advise?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes,
Should
go
advise?
ahead. Yeah, please.
This was due to the insurance.
Insurance. No, it is because below 18, the seafarer is still growing. So every year they examine the seafarer. But after 18, they say that the person has grown fully. So we examine once every 2 years. Okay? That's possibly the logic. The Yeah. So that's the test to be carried out, medical test to be carried out once every 2 years for seafarer above 18, and the what you call the medical test has to be carried out by whom? By a flag approved medical practitioner. Flag approved medical practitioner, right? Okay. Let's go to Wadi. Captain Wadi, how are you?
Good.
Captain Wadi.
Good.
Yeah, Captain Wadi, tell me that Malaysian flag. You're in Malaysia, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So suppose you are looking at a Malaysian registered vessel, and you look at the medical certificates, and you are auditing, and the captain shows you the medical report of some seafarer, and you're checking that, right? And you see it's been signed by some doctor in Malaysia. Okay. Now, how will you know that this doctor or medical practitioner has been approved by the Malaysian flag? The captain may not know about it, may or may not know. But in any case, you are an auditor. How will you check that this medical test and medical certificate has been issued by a Malaysian flag approved medical practitioner?
Okay, if as far I'm concerned, all the medical certificates signed or approved by the medical practitioner, there is already in the list. Example in the Marine Department website, so they can check.
Right. Very good, excellent. So, Gadi has given us the response that the Malaysian flag has enlisted the medical practitioners on their website. So, similarly, every flag will, in their website, will have guidance, or they may even provide the list, right? So, they will guide you how to verify that the medical practitioner is flagged. Wonderful, right? So the medical practitioner has to be flag approved, and once upon a time before MLC came, it had to be something like PNI approved medical what you call clinics. But now that whole thing is gone. It has to be flag approved medical practitioner. Okay, very good. Okay, so suppose, okay, let's go to somebody else. Nicole, how are you? And Nicole, you have been ashore for 2 years, and I want to ask you one thing. Suppose you go and conduct an audit, and you find that the medical certificate of a seafarer expired on, say, the 10th of March, and today is the 18th, right? So you
Yes.
are an auditor. What do you do, tell me?
If the certificate expires, so if in the port there is no like accredited any accredited physician which can provide a medical certificate, then it can still be valid until 3 months, I think. Not more than 3 months. Then which, in which they arrive in a port where they can conduct medical exam with accredited physician.
Fantastic, very nice. So you see, I see all of you are highly well informed about the MLC and quite impressed with the answers of Nicole. And Nicole is saying that if the medical certificate has expired on the 10th of March and you are an auditor, the company still has another 3 months. They can go and carry out the test at any port from a medical practitioner, right? So it's what you call it doesn't matter, right? They have 3 months. Okay. And in fact, okay, let me ask another question. So we'll go to somebody else. Let's see who can respond to this. Okay, Montero, maybe you'll be able to respond to this. So Montero, suppose you are in a hurry. Your company is based in Hong Kong, and sometimes during the Chinese New Year for 10, 12 days, everything is closed, and you have Chinese crew on your ship, and there's an urgent requirement that comes up on the very first or second day of Chinese New Year, and you have to carry out a crew change. But the seafarer you are contacting, everything is ready, he's ready to join, but his medical certificate is expired on, say, the 1st of March, and now you are wanting this person to join, it's the 18th of March. So now what do? And you know that you can't get his medical test scanned out in for the next 10 days, and so can the seafarer join the vessel?
I think he can join. I think he can join. I don't know what's the period, but he can join.
Right.
He can, yeah.
He can join Montero, very good. He can join the vessel even with a recently expired medical certificate. MLC does not say what is recent, 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. But with the assumption, but of course, you need to take what you call an exemption or dispensation from the flag, and then you tell them that we will carry out a medical test within the next 1 month or so on board.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have had to do something like that. But,
right. Was it also on a Chinese New Year or something?
Probably, I can't remember, but mostly these problems come in China. Yeah. Because they are closed for about 2 weeks straight away.
Right. So basically, all of you see that the medical certificate is recently expired. Seafarer can still join the vessel. Okay. Anybody knows how frequently are we supposed to do the colorblind test? When the seafarers join, they do a colorblind test. But how frequently are we supposed to do as per MLC? I mean, you will be doing it every time you join. But how frequently are we expected to do this as per MLC? Anybody knows? Although it's one of the simplest tests because the guy opens up a booklet with numbers in colored form, 6, 5, 13, 29, you rattle off the numbers and it finishes off in less than a minute. But how frequently does MLC stay? Should it be done? convention says you need to do it once in 6 years. Although we do it, you do it almost every time the seafarer joins. But you don't need to, because color blindness does not change so rapidly. So it takes perhaps many, many years. So that's why they said once in 6 years. Okay, this is more academic and not necessarily that you do it every time, you're not doing anything wrong. It doesn't harm. Okay. 1.3 training and qualifications. MLC directs everybody to follow the requirements as in the STCW, and so we don't need to go too much here because it directs us to STCW requirements and additional training as required. That's a very, very what do you call a general statement in 1.3. If you go to 1.4, recruitment and placement, it talks about manning agency, what are they supposed to do, right? So if some of you may be operating, utilizing, no manning agents at all, right? And some of you may be having managers. Many of the companies, they do not engage manning agents. They do the crewing on their own. So if you are in that category, or whether you engage manning agents, you are expected to keep certain records. So if it's a manning agent or whether it's a crewing department or whatever, you've got to keep a track of all seafarers joining, which ship they joined, what are their contact details, their residential contact details, their details of their certificate, their training records, right? And which ship did they join, what rank, when did they sign off, etc., etc. Right? So all this information is supposed to be maintained by manning agents or by the company itself if they are directly engaged in recruiting services. Right? Okay. What is the meaning of blacklist of seafarers? What is the meaning of blacklist of seafarers? Captain Surji, have you heard of this blacklist of seafarers?
Yeah, sure. Generally, if the seafarer break some regulation regarding, for example, drunk and alcohol at work, or something else, the flag can ban his endorsement, and he cannot again receive endorsement with flag, and that's will be in his reputation in future, and that's why any company who will want to engage him to the work, can check his background, and if find he was banned some flag or something, make investigation, don't take him again to work. That's like a blacklist for seafarers.
So that's a blacklist maintained by the flag state, right?
Generally, how I know, only the flag can ban from work as seafarer.
Okay, right. So, okay. Now, this particular blacklist I'm talking about is at the company level, not at the flag. Because what the flag will do is withdraw the certificate, so they will the certificate of competency will, if they wish to take any action for any reason. But I'm talking about a blacklist maintained by shipping company. Anybody familiar with this blacklist, or it may have different names, NPBR, not to be re-employed or whatever. So every company gives a different type of name. Yes, Alfie, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Basically, in Indonesia, we have this Pertamina company. They have this online database for the crew. So whoever doing like monkey business or selling oil, and then they catch them, and then they will have record and they put on the database and online. So the whole shipping company, which is under or chartered by the Pertamina, before they are working under the Pertamina, so they need to check the background check on that database. If that crew is listed on the blacklist, so cannot working. So they need to find out another crew. That is system in Indonesia.
Okay, tell me one thing. At this Pertamina website and the names of the seafarers, can anybody access it, or do we need a password and username and be registered with Pertamina to access that?
Currently in our company is only this crewing or hiring department have that access to that. So they, as the recruiter, they have that password, so they will check the profile of that crew.
Okay, so let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
So suppose some Indonesian seafarer not working for Pertamina joins company which is other than bulk carrier, container ship or something. So will that container company or bulk carrier also verify from Pertamina whether this person is in the blacklist or not?
No, absolutely not, sir. Because this is only vessel chartered by Pertamina. Other thing is not.
No, that means it is the responsibility of the company to ensure that the seafarers on the ship are not in that list.
Yes, correct. Because the vessel who are chartered by Pertamina, they make their own requirement. So if the crew have this problem, and before hiring, we need to check. We need to make sure they are on the list.
Okay. I'll come to you. Thank you very much for the report. Anybody else familiar with this blacklist? Before I respond to what good friend Alfie is saying. Anyone else who's got anything on yeah.
We have an NTPR. We do have an NTPR. Okay, these people we have in our group database that we mentioned that entity basis the appraisal report of from the previous year or any incident or so. And this our growing office, Manila or Bombay or Singapore, they never represent that. Until that it is being reviewed again for one more time. If they want to do one more chance, then it is.
Okay, so here we have another participant showing up and saying they do maintain an NTBR not to be re-employed list. Okay, just by the way, please remember I'm now trying to educate you all what are the MLC requirements, right? Pertamina maintains the blacklist of seafarers on their website. This may be, I'm not saying, it may constitute non-compliance with MLC requirements because they are openly listed down those on the blacklist, and that data is available to the users of Pertamina, and therefore it can be downloaded and passed on or whatever to the other shipping companies in Indonesia. So it may constitute a non-compliance. If Pertamina has to do that, then what they should actually do is when they engage a contractor, they give them the names confidentially that these are the people you're not supposed to engage, and that company's job is to verify that, but not list them down because it's the confidential information. And coming to your question, you just mentioned, Swaminathan, you have an NTPR list. So theoretically, you're not supposed to maintain a blacklist, but practically, I don't think there is any company in the world which does not maintain a blacklist. So this requirement of MLC, it's almost impossible to implement, right, and comply. But what you should do is, what was happening pre-MLC is that if Swaminathan has this list, then Montero will call, hello, Swaminathan, can you give me a list and I'm passing you my list. So the exchange of lists was taking place between crewing managers and shipping companies. And this was jeopardizing the seafarer because somebody may not have worked very well with TCC steamship, and they may have a problem, some ego problem on both the vessels or whatever. TCC fired them, but this person goes for a job to Goodwood, and Goodwood sees the name. Oh, I see for a name of black. Oh, I'm sorry, sir, we don't have a vessel for you, but we'll get back to you later. So you're actually not giving the person a ship because of some problems in the previous company. So this, depriving the seafarers and minimizing their job opportunities was one of the reasons why MLC says you should not maintain and neither should you share a blacklist, right? Circulate blacklists. You're not supposed to. So you're not supposed to maintain also. But anyway, it's 99.9999 all companies have this. Only thing, prevent any circulation outside. Otherwise, it will be in non-compliance with it. All good? Everybody clear on the blacklist?
So one more thing, whenever like DMS audit and all, so officially we are not supposed to maintain any NTBR or blacklist. So are we supposed to show that list to a auditor that we have our NTBR system, which is also like part of maintaining a good crew and all, was competent enough or no? So are we supposed to show that list to them or no?
Yeah.
Like when they will tell if some incident has happened, so what action have you taken by that crew who was involved in that incident? So we must show that we have put him in the NTBR list because he has done this mistake. So again, that is against the MLC requirement.
Okay, Jitendra, just give me a sec. I'll just attend to a call. Give me a couple of minutes. Please stand by.